I have, this is the evening after creating my action pyramid, and I just wanted to pop in to tell you how I'm using it because I gave a lot of options before, and while that can be useful for some people it can be more confusing. So, here's what I am doing. First, I'm recognizing that I am at day 25 in my menstrual cycle. So I'm in my luteal phase, and that is the phase where the body wants support. The body wants nourishing. The body wants care. And not only is it natural to be more gentle, be more caring, be more still, be more quiet during that phase, doing that also supports those hormones. So if you have, I mean, I am definitely in perimenopause. If you have like hormones that are kind of doing whatever and they're irregular, or if you have a lot of symptomology around your cycle and things like that, doing things that support the hormones is going to support you feeling better through your cycle. So I'm in my luteal phase. I'm in day 25 of my cycle. This is not the time for me to like do a bunch of new shit. And I'm going to honor that. And I have. So I started with my resources at the bottom of my pyramid. How I want to feel is one rung up. The actions I want to take is almost at the top, and then vision and intention is at the very top. So what I just did, it is now 6:30 p.m. and I revisited my action pyramid and I just went through and took note of what I did today. And that's actually super lovely. And I didn't do any of the what didn't I do shit. Just what did I do? If you're a person who is not connected to a menstrual cycle, you could also do this with the moon cycles. Um, they do say the waning moon is most closely related to the luteal phase, so that would be the period of time when the moon is losing light on the way to the new moon, and you would be going more and more inward. You would do more and more supportive things, less outward action, more internal care. If you want to play that game, which I'm all for, especially if you are female. So, what did I do today on my action pyramid? I did my vibration plate. I watched television. I wore my sweatpants all day long. I brushed my teeth, used my water pick, walked my Dina. I said 2 times. I mean, we walk probably 6 times in a day, but 2 solid walks. So we went this morning to her favorite morning park, and then midday we went to our 2 mile walk around some ponds, and I got some sun. If you're watching, you can see my shoulder. It was lovely. It was the most beautiful day. It was like in the 60s. The sun was out. This pond these ponds have pelicans in them right now. And when I first was seeing the pelicans, they were in a group. So there were a bunch of pelicans just all hanging out. And now they've partnered off and they're just little pairs of pelicans floating in the water, shoving their faces down to like scoop fish up in their giant beaks. It's just really beautiful. So those 2 walks and then tree gazing. So I said I like to gaze at beauty. That was stunning, gazing at the trees outside of my window when I was writing this. Yeah. I did my matcha enema this morning. I already spoke to that. I did remember what I was going to say this morning. So if you watched or listened to my other podcast, I was talking about my energetic nutrition class and how we muscle tested to see what nutrient we would need, whether it's a food or a supplement or just something in the world that we need. What I was going to say is that when we would muscle test what our body is asking for, and we would also muscle test what our brain is asking for. And sometimes they're different. So sometimes your body is wanting something, but if you have created some story about it in your mind, your system is going to reject it. Um, so that's what I had been thinking about. It wasn't necessarily related to something very specific, but I had been thinking about that a lot, and that's part of the reason I don't like just soliciting fear. Like I was talking about this with a friend of mine. We were watching these videos of someone and they were like, MSG, blah, 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 blah. And, I was like, sure, MSG can be very disruptive and toxic for some people. But actually, let me give this example. This is one of my favorites because it speaks to this energetic. When a person is diagnosed with cancer, their immune system plummets because of the fear. So having these, and this, goes back to the rules and stuff, like having these rules about things and having these like very strict opinions about this is right, this is wrong is creates that response, creates like that fear, creates like your lowered immune system. Now your body's on the lookout, your mind is on the lookout. And that creates worse things in your body, usually than the substance itself. I used to have a friend who was vegan. He was a roommate of mine. We actually lived together and became friends. And at the time that he was vegan, he was a very stressed out person anyway. He was very intense in his beliefs, still is intense in his beliefs and, whatever. So he was vegan and it was not for like physiological reasons. It was political, really. And when we would go to a restaurant, the intensity, and this was before veganism was as common, and so it was very common to have a difficult time finding things that were vegan on the menu. But the intensity with which he demanded to know what was in everything and the fear that he led with every time he was ordering food somewhere that he wasn't making it himself, significantly worse than accidentally eating something that had egg in it. Somebody's going to come for me, I'm sure, but like that is less healthy. That fear is less healthy than just having something with some egg in it. I know there are exceptions. There are people with celiacs, there are people with like, really strong food responses or responses to whatever, hay fever, peanut butter, whatever the thing is. Um, but for most things that aren't actually allergic, the fear of them can be worse than the consumption of them. And it's not just food, it's not just beverage. It can be what you're watching. If you're watching things that are putting you in fear, that's not good. Turn the thing off. Look around. Notice if you have anything to be afraid of. Okay, I'm gonna get off my soapbox there. I'm going down a hole. All right. So I created a video. I had my coffee, which I realized I left a whole a whole mug of it on my desk. Couch time, snuggling, sea moss, and I added to my list singing. I was in the car on the way home from the hike and put on some music instead of a podcast and was just singing my heart out. And I was like, oh, yeah, I feel great when I sing. I'm not a good singer, but I love singing. So, those were the bottom rung supportive resource things that I did today. Ways that I felt. So I wrote down I just went off the list that I already had, the ways that I want to feel, and I wrote the ones that I did feel today and why. I felt generous, gassing up a friend. I felt supported. I already talked about this morning, a friend offering to help me with my business and things like that. Infinite returns. I felt infinite returns today, and that was on my walk with Dina, with the sun, the little bit of exertion, the joy, the beauty. Like there's just nothing like that. And we come home and we napped together and just, so good. So anything that feels like the effort you put out, you get more back, do more of that, whatever that is. I already said this morning I felt soft and I felt sweet. That was just coming into the day and comfortable. Those were all the things I felt. I felt comfortable probably because of wearing my sweatpants and laying on my slumber party couch. So, again, luteal phase, I am not pushing myself right now, and I'm good with that. But I also have an awareness in the back of my mind, or forward in my mind, I guess, that as I am recognizing my action pyramid, the resources that are the things that I'm already doing, that are already helping me, the more I keep doing those things rather than the things above, the more I'm staying where I am. And that's not totally true. Like it could be an improvement. And truly, 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 I'm going to say this tricky thing about gratitude. So, gratitude is going to help you. When it doesn't help you is when, and I mean, I've had this experience. I still come across people who kind of shove this down my throat sometimes, and I'm like, what? Um, But I know people that kind of grew up this way where their parents are like, well, you should be grateful. You should be grateful. Look at everything you have. And it's like a way to tell someone that they shouldn't have desire, that they shouldn't want something, that what they have should be enough. And obviously, you know that I don't fucking think that. I think it's amazing to have desire. It's brilliant. I think it pushes and pulls us towards miraculous things in life. So that's the place where gratitude is toxic. Oh, you should be grateful. And I know so many people who, when they start to think outside of their norm and like reach for something, and then they hit a little resistance, they divert back to that. Well, I should just be grateful for what I have. And I'm like, you can actually also be disappointed that that didn't work. That's okay too, because that is something you actually want. And there's a reason you're moving toward it. And it didn't work in that direction. And that sucks. So that is where it can be toxic. The place where it is going to help you is when you're tuning in genuinely, truly to the things that you have already that are in alignment with what you say you want, what your desires are, what you're asking for. Because people bypass things all the time. Like, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. And I'm like, do you see that you have like all these puzzle pieces that kind of are that thing already? So looking around and being like, I have this. So doing this today, looking at the things that I did that take care of me, looking at the ways that I want to feel that were ways that I wanted to feel today is fantastic. And that is a way to create improvement depending on what your baseline is. My baseline is pretty good. I'm a pretty content person at this point in my life, which is great. If you're not a very content person, this is really going to help you. Like coming back and being like, okay, I helped myself like this today. I supported myself like this today. I felt like this today. And these are the reasons why. I said this in one of my other videos. This is a version of tracking. And what I said in one of my other videos is every person who has something you want in the way that you want it has done some version of this. Mindfulness, tracking, attention, intention. So you want to be noticing your own self. You want to be recognizing what you're doing. You want to be putting more and more and more and more and more attention on the things that you're doing that are supporting you and bringing you to where you want to be. Promise you want that. So I appreciate that I've done these things. And I also know that to really move forward, I want to be doing the things higher and higher up on my pyramid. I also am, I don't know if I'll do this every day. Again, I'm not a big rule. I'm good at making rules and I'm really good at breaking them. But I am going to challenge myself while I'm talking about it and I have some energy left for the day, to do one more thing that wasn't just something I naturally did. And I already know what it's going to be. I'm going to clean a surface of my apartment and it might just be one and it might inspire me to clean more. But it's just a little way to stretch myself beyond where I am naturally. So that's still in the supportive resource part of the pyramid. Um, but it's just a little extra energy that will also have infinite returns. That's another one for me that has infinite returns when I clean a space. I'm like, oh my God, that space is clean right now. That is crazy. Wow. Amazing. Really, really amazing. Wow. Wow. So I'm probably not going to come on and tell you every single day what I've done with my actions, but I do like to come on and share the evolution of these processes and how I put this into action today. And I wanted to claim it out loud and be like, good job, Shannon. Look at you fucking go, bitch. Amazing.